is the game for him. Or this is this is kind of weird because the Charlotte sports has kind of been like in a weird lure here where they're getting
Very
all
weird.
the top picks, Brandon Miller and then Bryce Young, and all they kind of have is Hurricanes right now. Uh, so I mean, it's like, okay, we got these top picks now, and they're supposed to be immediate impact. So I mean, we'll see Brandon Miller, but that's for a different topic.
So
That's basketball. But
Justin,
Bryce Young,
does
right?
Justin Jefferson's contract end this year?
He got an extension.
Oh, okay. Because I really feel like Bryce Young, especially after seeing in this Lions game, he knows how to throw the ball. He can throw
Mm-hmm.
the ball, but it's both his wide receivers. I mean, they're just not that good. Just
Yeah.
being
So I
honest,
actually
man.
wrote
Like
this
they're just not
down.
good.
Yeah, I wrote this down. Adam Thielen should not be your guy that's making plays for Bryce
Yeah,
Young.
hundred
That
percent.
should not be your number one guy for making plays for Bryce Young. That is a problem. And it's clear to me that, yeah, it was, you had to get rid of something to get Bryce Young. And unfortunately, that comes with the price of DJ Moore. But yeah, obviously, losing DJ Moore is showing, and it is
It's
insane
terrible.
how, rough it has been for the passing game without someone like DJ Moore in your offense. Um, it sucks. It really does because we don't get to really see how good he can be because he doesn't have that number one receiver. And that kind of goes with the topic of um, number one QBs always tend to go to these poor franchises, these franchises that haven't been able to historically build their teams correctly, and you don't get to see how good this QB can be because they're not in the right system.
Yeah,
But these teams won't let him go because they drafted him number one overall, right? So hopefully they get something going. Mingo was
it's just
nice, but
crazy to me that obviously at the time Panthers had to give away McCaffrey and all that other
yeah,
stuff.
yep,
He was injured, which
yep,
makes sense. But imagine a universe where they kept McCaffrey and I have DJ Moore, Bryce Young, and McCaffrey in my
yeah,
offense. That'd
yeah.
be
No, I
they
agree.
wouldn't be 0-5.
No,
I'll
they
tell you
wouldn't.
right now, they would not be 0-5.
And who knows if the 49ers are undefeated if they don't have McCaffrey.
I know.
That opens a whole different thing in their game, and I don't think they're like without McCaffrey. I don't think they're 5-0 to be honest. Not because
100%. I think they'd be 3-2.
yeah, three
Because
and
you
two or
gotta
four
give
and one, I
you
believe.
gotta give Brock Purdy some credit. He's
Yeah,
doing really good, Mr. Irrelevant. You know, everyone hated on him, everyone shat on him. Last pick. He's really good. They put their faith in him. And that's just what I'm praying the Panthers do for Bryce Young. They don't drop him after 2, 3 years.
mm-hmm.
They need to learn to work with him.
Yeah. I just it does suck that
Yeah.
because I thought it'd be the same thing with C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, but they've shown like those the things that you wanted to see out of them like right away, but like Bryce Young hasn't, right? And
Yeah.
there's definitely going to be some growing pains. And this kind of same thing with Trevor Lawrence, who was also number one pick. We saw this as well. Uh, I just want to see him with someone that can that is a playmaker, right?
Bring
That's
out the young in Bryce, you know?
yeah.
That
I
young
just
power.
we have to see him with and then the line hasn't even been playing that great either. So
Yep. Terrible. In my opinion, terrible.
and there's been multiple injuries sustained on the defense with Shaq
Yep.
Thompson, C.J. Henderson, and J.C.
I mean,
Horn all injured.
it's every game actually. They're having a defense injury. It's terrible.
Right. Yeah, and that's something you don't need, when you're trying to have a
Yeah.
rookie quarterback get on the field as much as possible, and the defense is on the field most of the game because the offense is, facilitating a long drive because they're just tearing that defense apart and they're just playing the short game, doing everything possible, and then creating a long drive into a scoring drive. And then then Bryce Young doesn't get the ball as much, and then he's having to kind of like he feels pressured to make certain different decisions because they're down or they're losing, and that's just not what you want from QB. Because like on the other end of the spectrum, some of these QBs don't know what it's like to be losing. Like Brock Purdy doesn't really know what it's been like to been losing. So like how is he going to react when they are losing to a team? Is he going to play the same way? Is he going to be a distributor, or is he going to try and be Mr. Hero Ball and then make terrible decisions? You know what I'm saying?
I
Some of
think
these guys haven't faced
that's what it
adversity.
was with Joe Burrow at the start of the season.
Yeah.
He got so far, and obviously George Burrow has an incredible skill, but
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
he just these first few games, I know his calf was injured and such, but not until this week we really didn't see much of him.
Yeah, we can
Like,
go into that game real quick.
offensive wise.
Jamar Chase got going
Ooh.
for sure, and that was help to
I'm
Joe
always
Burrow
fucking
playing
open.
good.
I'm always fucking open, man.
Yeah, so we're gonna roll the clip here in a second, but he got Chase going, and he was able to get going. Why? Because we were seeing more mobility from him, and it felt like he could actually move comfortably within the pocket and make the right throws. Because it felt like his calf was actually where he wanted it to be.
Yeah, normal.
Right? So that was good to see. He got Chase going, franchise record, most receptions from a Bengal wide receiver in a game, franchise history, 15. And he gets 50
that's
fantasy
impressive,
points
man.
Like crazy.
Yeah, numbers. he got 3 touchdowns, 192 yards, man.
With 15 passes too.
Oof.
Or receptions. That is all you want from a receiver incredible. In fantasy.
He got 50 points in fantasy this week. That's how I beat you, Nick.
He probably beat up some teams this week by himself.
Oof.
Right.
Damn.
So obviously, that's like he got Chase going, and Chase, he gets open, like he's a playmaker. It's just a matter of could Joe Burrow get the ball to him properly and in the right manner, and that was one of their struggles. And I said it last week, we didn't understand why the Bengals offense was doing so bad, but it might have been just simply the calf, and now he's able to actually move in the pocket correctly and just feel comfortable with where he's at. And, Jamar Chase, I guess he's right. He always gets open. So let's roll the clip right here. What he said about, literally before the game.
In 4 games this season, do you feel like you've had less time to get open and create space for yourself?
Nah, I'm open. I'm always open. Excuse my profanity. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then we get back into talking. So, I know the Cardinals didn't win this game, and they're 1-5. I think they're 1-4, but
they are 1-4.
Josh Dobbs' decision making has been kind of crucial. I feel like if it wasn't this way, they would be 0-5.
Ooh, you think?
Yes, I think Josh Dobbs has kind of kept this team where they needed to be. Yes, they haven't won games, but he's just doing what he needs to do, right? He's not trying to do too much. And yes, he'll run the ball a couple times. He is a dual threat, so he'll try to run the ball, but he's not going to try to overdo it and make boneheaded decisions, or right. He's not going to try and do that. He's just going to distribute the ball to his playmakers and make the right decisions when need be. And yes, he had couple interceptions, but I feel like some of those were kind of forced, and I think one of them actually was a deflection. So I can't sit here and say, he had interceptions this week. So he was making bad decisions. Ooh. Like every QB is going to have their interceptions, especially have interceptions that wasn't their fault. It's going to happen. So, but I feel like his decision making has been there for them. I mean, there's young talent on this team. There is talent there. They just have to activate it. And, Marquise Brown, he's still a playmaker in my eyes. And if they just get him going, they can actually it's not like they're having too much struggles on offense. Like
Yeah,
you haven't
it's
seen a
looking
game
like
where they're just getting shut out, right?
yeah, his O-line is like really good.
And the O-line's been playing way better than they were on script. I think they had injuries prior to the season, so it wasn't supposed to be this great offensive line, but they're playing good.
They are.
Nothing was shining on this roster. They brought a couple free agents in, but there was nothing that was supposed to be shining. And then they bring in a QB that was a backup. Like, this wasn't supposed to be good. This was supposed to be 0-5. They were supposed to be the worst team in the NFL. Yeah, they're only 1-4, but they ain't playing like no 1-4 team, right? Same kind of like with the Vikings. I mean, they're not playing like a 1-4 team. The Vikings weren't playing like a 14-3 team, 13-14,
honestly,
whatever they were last year.
I think the Kirk Cousins curse is just terrible. The primetime curse.
Primetime Kirk.
Like
I don't know what that is, man. That is so odd.
It's just
it might come down to the same thing Desmond Ridder has. Like, it really could be as simple as like they in their heads, like they're like, oh, I'm away, or I'm in a primetime game, or I'm in a different country and I'm playing in a different situation, so it's in my head that I can't play as well, right? Or I play, and it is odd.
Just something
right?
mentally. That's what it seems like.
It could be just mental. It literally could be mental, and something like clearly, like we've seen mental like struggles with certain quarterbacks in the past, and that is one of the many positions where you need to keep a clear head or you will struggle.
100%.
Right?
A lot of people
like to sit and say, "Oh, they're professionals; they should have a clear head." They're human, so I mean, they can still have mental issues that could be affecting their game. And with how much Zach Wilson was he was being more reactive than proactive last year, that could reflect in his game. Like, truly, like if you're being a more reactive person, that means you're obtaining more information and then over analyzing it and then taking it into a negative manner, and then you're overthinking things, and then you overthink things in a game, and then all of a sudden you're throwing picks because you're overthinking it, right?
Yeah.
And not just playing how you've played before and being more comfortable, right? So
their consciousness is interfering with their play reading on the field. Like when that ball snaps, it's like something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, my AirPods are dying. It's annoying. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
1 second. Was it charging this whole time? Or no? Okay, it is. Okay, we're back. But anyways, can you reiterate what you just said? Probably it. We're at 113. I'll edit that out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, is it can get in these guys' heads. Yeah, a lot of these, none of them are young. They're just getting into the league, and they're expected just to immediately have a clear head and mature quickly. And, yeah, I mean, they were saying in camp Bryce Young's matured quickly. But is that really the problem, right? That's, I think he's just got to learn. He's got to, have better coaching. Frank Reich came in. It's just not been working for that coaching staff. He brought in a lot of new guys. It just has not been working the way they wanted to. Bryce Young, I mean, we saw in the first game just not being able to read certain coverages that he would like to read, and it, you know. Yes, hidden coverage. Yep, we talked about that with. Right. No, it's been rough. Yeah, and I just it's just this Panthers offense, man. It is sad. It is sad because we didn't see this team going 0-5. Some people had them winning the division just because Bryce Young was now there. That good. And yet some of those teams are playing good. Yeah. Tampa Bay's been playing good. New Orleans has been playing. Yep. It is weird. It is weird because it is the poverty division considerably right now, and two of those teams have been playing fairly well, right? And it is odd. Like the Saints dismantled the Patriots, and we can kind of transition to that game. Belichick having also. Okay. So even if you haven't been watching NFL that much, you still know about Tom Brady, right? You still know about his amazing, his amazing career. Okay, but I was gonna ask, do you think Belichick is actually overhyped in the manner that without Tom Brady, it's just he can't really do anything. Like he needs Tom Brady. Well, see. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you about one loophole is he has to avoid a lot of penalties. He'll have his players wear the same color gloves as the opponents, so it's hard for the referees to see holding. And it is smart. He's a very smart individual, but it's been rough because he's not smart when it comes to the GM because he is the GM and the coach, right? So he ultimately makes the decisions when it comes to the draft and trading and all that managing stuff, right? And it's been rough. They haven't been able to get any really big hits out of the draft. And one of the guys that was looking for like a big hit for them in a skilled position is no longer even going to be playing this season, and that sucks because you needed him to get that experience, get those reps. Christian Gonzalez, who was their 17th overall pick, who they traded back to get in the draft. And he was this guy that dropped. Everyone thought he was going in the first 10 picks, and he drops. And the Patriots get him, and we're like, oh, yep, here we go. Patriots getting a guy that everyone's sleeping on. This will be the guy. And yeah, he was working out, and he was playing amazing ball, and he was in the odds for rookie defensive player of the year, and he gets injured. And now you're back to you have nobody on this team right now that is just working. Right, it's just been yeah, yep. Mac Jones, yeah. I don't know how many chances he has left here. Well, here's what the problem has been. Yeah. No, Bill Belichick is going to be harping him on film so much. Here's the thing, though. Belichick is a defensive mind. So each coach, head coach. Right, exactly. He can worry about the defense. Brady can worry about the offense. And they'll complement each other, right? But he doesn't have that anymore. He doesn't have Brady, right? So that's what it kind of comes down to is he now has to worry about offense and defense because, yeah, he tried out Josh McDaniels, or not Josh McDaniels. He tried out Matt Patricia in his offense. That didn't work. And he now has Bill O'Brien, and now that's not working, right? And so it's like he's trying to get guys he knows has been there before to work his offense for him, and nothing's working. And the weapons that they've got, yeah. No, this is a whole different game of football. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a different game of ball, and man, some of these guys that are just insane playmakers. Yeah, they have like the QBs with the running QBs. Like we didn't see that. Like we saw that kind of a little bit with Randall Cunningham and Mike Vick and Fran Tarkenton back in the day, but like. Yeah, now you literally, it's like, it used to be like, oh yeah, he can run, that's cool. Now it's your quarterback needs to run, right? And if he can't run, he better be the most accurate thrower, in the league. And that's like with Tua or a guy like Jared Goff. Jared Goff. We can transition to that game, which was Detroit and let me see here. What was it? I can't remember here. Panthers Lions. Oh, we can transition to Lions, who played very well. Their offense was going. Not much to talk about other than they destroyed this Panthers defense, which we just already talked about has been injury riddled. And they just took advantage of them. And I saw some of the plays they were running in the red zone. They're very creative. And Ben Johnson, man, one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. He's going to get a head coaching job, no doubt about it, next year. And he's just making Matt Canada look like a high school offensive coordinator, the way he's running some of his plays in the red zone. And it just makes this team so automatic in the red zone. And when that's the pot, when that's like your thing, man, like you're just going to score a bunch of touchdowns and put points on the board. Like there's no doubt about it. And when this Lions defense is playing better than they were supposed to, especially since they lost so many defensive backs to injury, and they're just still playing with heart and playing amazing, and the depth is there. And Aiden Hutchinson's taken another step up, man, and that's awesome to see. It's hard for this team to lose, right? When your offense is, scoring in the red zone almost every dang time, and then your defense is playing better. How do you lose those games? They're 4-1. Yeah, exactly. No one expected 4-1. I expected them to take that leap. I did. When they made the playoffs and they have this culture and they're gonna draft all these guys, and then they end up drafting all these guys that I'm like, I loved out of the draft, and they drafted them at weird times, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th pick, which was expected to go in the second round, and then Jack Campbell, a linebacker. You don't take a linebacker usually in the first round. They take him in the first round with their second first-round pick. And then they steal Brian Branch late. They steal Sam Laporta late. Like, all those guys already are making impact on the team. Right. Yeah, and we understand Chiefs didn't have all their players like Kelsey and Chris Jones, but still, man, it was still a statement. We can't argue against that. Okay, we're gonna move on to, and we're going a little late here, so we're gonna try and speed up some of this. We're gonna go a little speed round. So Titans Colts, Richardson, he's now out with a shoulder injury. He's out for a little bit. He's going on injury reserve, so he could be out for a while, and now they're going to be stuck with Gardner Minshew, which is not totally a bad thing. So he can still facilitate this offense. They go up against the Jags next week. But so back-to-back division games. Hopkins looked unguardable in this game, but the Colts do end up coming out with the win, thanks to Zaire Franklin on the defense, who has been becoming a leader on this defense, becoming unstoppable. He's all over the field. Their linebacker play has just been very well. Cardinals Bengals, we win to that. I want to say a couple things about the Jets. Their Jets D had 4 sacks and 7 hits. Breece Hall was cooking for 194 yards, 8 yards per carry. That's what you want to see from Breece Hall. We knew he had it in him last year. He tore his ACL. We've been waiting for him to come back and make that and come back to where he was playing at, and for him to do that. And we know that Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert made this rushing defense look horrible, look like a college team. For him to also do that against this Broncos defense was good to see. And Zach Wilson, we were talking about that Zach Wilson thing, right? We were talking about these guys coming in and not being confident right away. Zach Wilson's confidence has been there. We've seen a difference in confidence for sure with him. Yeah, right? Yeah. Him, Sauce, Wilson, Breece Hall. Yeah, and we talked about that. They need help. We talked about that, yep. Poor New York fans, man. It's been poverty. It's been poverty since the Giants won their Super Bowl. It's just been rough, and the Yankees are in the playoffs this year, which has been odd. And it's just New York sports just struggling right now. So it'd be nice if the Jets could make it to the playoffs and Aaron Rodgers just somehow magically comes back. But it's gonna be hard at 39. Yeah. Vikings Chiefs. Yeah, this is the same thing. Vikings are playing good ball. Justin Jefferson, out for 4 weeks with a hamstring injury, so he's on the IR. Yeah, Kelsey has a high ankle sprain, so I'm sure he won't probably be playing next week, which sucks because I have him in 3 fantasy leagues. But with this game, this is coming down to the Vikings are playing good ball, and I did bet the over for 54 here because I thought it would be a high offensive game, but their defenses both played very well here, but so did their offenses, but their defenses outplayed both offenses, but it kind of came down to Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes, doing the right stuff in the very end. But the Vikings, man, still having some rough turnovers that they shouldn't be making, making some kind of boneheaded decisions. But I don't know. It's something with you win 11 games, you almost shouldn't last year. So it's now you can't win those games, and now they're something 0-3, and yeah. Now Jefferson's out, so that's gonna suck for them. But it's just with these one possession games, they just can't stay focused and get it done. This offense, yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do. No, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was amazed by the Steelers, man. They usually are a second half team. They just struggle in the first half to get. They had 0 points on the board, 10, and but their defense kept them in the game, and then their defense is come on, offense, do something, and then they just magically wake up very end of the game for some reason and somehow put up 17 points in the last fourth quarter, I don't remember. It's just but yeah, like this Viking, if you want to compete against the Chiefs, you gotta start early, and that's what the Lions did, and they were able to eke out that win. But this Chiefs offense is just too good, even if they don't have the number one wide receiver or the whatever. It's just too good with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, to the point where you can't stumble. You have to, and you can't just lag behind. You have to start early, and we saw that for sure. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes got that dog in him. It might be Eagles Chiefs. I'm thinking 49ers Chiefs. That's my little prediction, because 49ers aren't having injuries. Cross your fingers, whatever. But I think that's what's always held the 49ers back. So if they don't sustain injuries, and that's what held them back in the championship game against the Eagles. Brock Purdy suffering that UCL injury. So if they can just not have injuries, it could be Chiefs 49ers. If the Dolphins don't have injuries, it could be Dolphins. You never know. You never know. The Dolphins actually have a chance here, as much as we don't want to say it, because their defense is not as playing up to par. But Eagles Rams. Speaking of Eagles, what? Yeah. Yeah, they deserve the credit. They're top in 5 weeks. They're top in passing and rushing scrimmage yards. And I said that earlier, but I like to reiterate it because it shows how much they've been dominating on the offensive side of the ball. But Eagles Rams, I want to go quick through this. I thought the Rams did exactly what I thought they'd do. I think they would have stuck in this game, but end up not winning it in the end. But I think what they can build on here is actually keeping Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp both open in this offense, and I think they did a great job of that. I question that. Yes, if they can both stay healthy too. And then yeah, I mean, they've competed with every single team, as much as everyone wanted to say they were going to be one of the worst teams along with Arizona. They've said they wouldn't on paper, because on paper this team's young and experienced, but they still have, guess what, Aaron Donald, who has been playing like Aaron Donald always does, and then now Cooper Kupp's coming back, and Matthew Stafford combined with Sean McVay was good enough to win a Super Bowl 2 years ago. So they can do their thing. Matt Stafford wasn't really there much last year. There was a lot of backup play. So, man, with Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald's still all there, and Sean McVay as well, who's done a great job on, keeping this offense afloat with a lack of talent. But now they've found talent in guys, and they've actually opened them up even more. Like, they obviously had talent. Puka Nacua had talent. They were talented, without a doubt. But Sean McVay's done a good job of getting these guys in roles and getting them the ball as much as possible. Yeah, no, Puka Nacua took that Cooper Kupp role. Yeah. No. And I thought, I was like, okay, well now that Cooper's back, what are you gonna do with Puka? Are you gonna have him in that same role you have him, or Cooper? But I think he did a good job of mixing and matching and balancing it out and allowing them both to attack the middle of the field, but then also be threats on the outside. And I think that he did a great job of that, and that's why that we were able to stay in the game. But yes, Eagles did kind of, have their ways with the defense. Yeah. Brotherly shove, man. I mean, it just works, and it doesn't work for every team. We've seen it didn't work with every team, but with the Eagles, they know what they're doing. They have it down pat. Yep. So everyone that wants to say, oh, they should ban it. No. The Eagles are just that good at it. Sorry, but if you want to ban it, you're going to have all these teams do as much as the Eagles do to become that good at it. We're going to move on to the last two games here. 49ers, Cowboys. I'm going to say what I have, and then I'm going to let you speak a little bit. And then we can talk a little bit about the Raiders, Packers, and then call it a night. Cowboys could not stop the run game. Lack of shifts, outside and inside, both open. The defensive line, which is a good defensive line at that, just wasn't there. Micah Parsons was doing all he could, but they couldn't get sacks. The 49ers line just playing very disciplined, and it was awesome to see. This team, as much as you like to say, oh, but they still have weak points on their team, those guys still play their role. They still play discipline. They do what they need to do. Yeah, they're playing like the players that don't have the star names are still playing good. Like McKivitz is a good example for that. More on the other side, who is not even a starter, right? So they're all playing what they're doing. They're doing their role to win the game, and that's why there's a good reason they're 5-0. 3 touchdowns. Yep. Yeah, it Yeah, and that's the thing. It's literally gonna be like, okay, who's gonna who pick your poison, man? Who's gonna do good this game? Is it gonna be Christian McCaffrey? Who's gonna be George Kittle? If you saw Christian McCaffrey go off against so and so last week, is your defense gonna be more focused on the run game? Well, now you have to worry about Ayuk on the outside, Kittle in the middle, and possibly Deebo Samuel catching screen passes and running around your defense. Because now you're stacking the box more because you want to avoid these big Christian McCaffrey runs. And now you don't have as much guys to worry about the other guys. It's like what do you do, right? So if one guy isn't, doing what he needs to do for that game, they have 3 others. So that's incredible, by the way. Brandon Ayuk has taken a step up, which we didn't know would happen, right? So, and going back to the Cowboys, their O-line, or not O-line, did I say O-line? Their defense kind of just has been struggling all of a sudden, but at least one guy has shined throughout the thick, diamond in the rough, as you may. Darren Bland has been playing his arse off, whatever you want to say. He's just been playing so hard because he's hadn't taken this step up with Trayvon Diggs now injured. And it just isn't enough for this defense to return to where they were, week 1 against the Jets. Or not Jets. Week 1 and week 2, like the first couple weeks they were playing Giants, yes. And then they played week 2, the Jets. Just not there anymore. It's not where they want to be. So, yes, Darren Bland's one of the guys that they can say, okay, we can work with this guy. But the defense all across the board hasn't been playing it. Yeah, the problem has been they haven't played good against good teams, right? Like that's just kind of. Week 7, 8. So they play back-to-back LA teams. They play the Chargers this week, and then they play the Rams the next week. So, this is their time. Yep, this is their time to show if they're a fraud or not, honestly, when they're playing the Chargers and the Rams. 2 teams that are kind of in the middle here for me. Chargers who, have that offense, and their defense has been playing better as well as we thought they should be playing, because they were not playing as well as we thought last year. So if are they able to take this decent team and actually do good? Because man, when they played some really good teams, they just kind of folded and yeah. This was supposed to be two possible NFC conference champion or conference opponent teams, whatever you want to say. This was supposed to be two of the candidates, and it just wasn't. Didn't even look like a match, right? And that's rough because it was looking like the NFC was strong. Yeah. But yeah, the O-line, continuing domination, especially, and like I said, we were talking about like them keeping him away from Brock Purdy, but man, in the run game, just dominating, keeping Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey sometimes like, dirtless and untouched, and it's incredible. Anytime touchdown. Yep, 14. Was it 14 touchdowns? Yep. Yeah, he is a guaranteed touchdown almost. Like, it's just smart advice. You just keep betting little amounts every time, and then when he breaks the streak, whatever. And you stop betting. No. Yeah, dude, give me the almanac right there. I'll be able to tell that this man would have went on a streak. I mean, who would have guessed that this man would be injured for 2 or 3 years straight, it felt like, and then all of a sudden just like come to this new team and then just immediately impact mid-season, go to the. Yes, I agree. It like he was able to play make in Carolina, but like what he's able to do here is different. And then with the O-line that he has is just incredible. We're gonna finish it off here with the Packers Raiders. We have a Packers friend. It was hard to watch. We were confused. It was supposed to be an offensive battle here, and it just wasn't. Both offenses just struggled completely. But then we obviously see that Joe Barry struggles, and then which is the Packers defensive corner, and then Jordan Love cannot clutch up. So this is 2 times now. It's like 1 week people are like saying like he's gonna be a top quarterback, or he's gonna be the next Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and then the next week it's like he's just like Justin Fields or blah blah blah. I feel like there's not enough sample size to tell really yet. I feel like we need to keep watching some of his games. I think he is struggling at times where they need him to kind of clutch up, but then again, it's his first couple NFL games here. Very inexperienced, even though he is older and he has had, time to develop. It's hard to develop when you don't get the NFL experience, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah. No. Mhm. Yeah, and it was crazy to see him immediately make an impact. And yes, that LSU team was kind of good. They had, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, no, and I've been in that position where it's like I'm playing, and then all of a sudden I'm like this backup, and then it's like, how am I supposed to like mentally go back to being, like it, because your confidence is kind of like destroyed. You're the backup. You're not better than this player that's in front of you. How are you supposed to come in and be like, okay, I'm that guy as well, And that's some of these teams, they have that mentality where all the guys are playing a role and they understand that if I'm not the starter, if this starter gets hurt, I can come in and immediately be what the team needs. I don't have to be a hero. I don't have to play like this quarterback in front of me. I just have to do what the team needs to win the ball game. And some of these teams can foster that culture, but it's as an individual, it's hard. Yeah, and you want to be the best that you can be, and it's hard to be that as a backup. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're not playing. Yeah, and it kills your motivation because I could work this hard on practice, but it's not going to matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was wild to see in this game too, like, how I don't know how this Raiders team wins this game here because Josh McDaniels can't make. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I guess. I mean, yeah, he just. It's just like pressured situations. I mean, to be fair, he was getting pressured a lot. Max Crosby is literally the whole defense, and he made his presence very, very well known. Right, so immediately, yep, see, you don't even know. Yep, and he immediately just shines out to you. And, I mean, as much as they kept talking about him on the broadcast, but it's kind of well warranted because he could have a chance to be one of the best pass rushers. I mean, the best pass rusher. And, I mean, he is one of the best, but he has a chance to be the best in the league this year. And there's kind of nothing stopping him, especially when he is the only thing shining on this defense. But Josh McDaniels, I'll end it with this. He's probably not the answer here, and don't be surprised if he gets fired late this season if they start losing, because his end game management is so bad. He's the Raiders head coach. As much as people were saying, he was making fine plays, or it was a fine decision at the end to kick that field goal. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just been all rough, like, overall, and that's kind of what it comes down to. It's very dicey. So I could see a world where if they start losing, he's gone. So I think he's on one of the biggest hot seats in the league, along with Brandon Staley or Matt Canada or even Joe Barry, for that matter, with the Packers. Because sometimes if this Packers defense was playing good, Jordan Love wouldn't have to be in these adverse situations where, yeah, right. So, yep, and he's having to, without little. It's easier to, like, understand if you've been in that situation, and that's what's nice is he's learning, he's getting into those situations early, so that when later if he's still starting quarterback later in his career, he'll be able to make the right decisions, right, and he'll be able to stay comfortable in that situation. Yeah, I mean, we saw in preseason a little bit foreshadowing of that when he was missing some easy throws. But it's not, like, super, like, a problem, like, with some other quarterbacks. Right. But, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see from Jordan Love. It's very not much of a sample size yet to, like, tell too much. But, yeah. Right. I mean, they still could make the playoffs. I know they're 2-3, but it's still possible. Anything is pretty much possible, unless you are out, right? The Bears have won 2 straight games, and they were looking like, quote unquote, the worst team in football. So we'll have to see what happens here. But yeah, that'll be all for this podcast. I know this is one of the longest podcasts that I've ever done ever. But I appreciate anyone that's still listening, and I hope that you guys have a good day or wherever you're at listening. But thanks for listening to NFL Trades Podcast. And Jonah, you have anything to leave them off with? Yes, sir. Stay positive, and I hope that you gain some knowledge in this podcast. That's the goal here. So I appreciate everybody from coming. I'll say it again, and thank you so much. Peace out.